Hi everyone, it's Darlene. Welcome back for another card video. Today's card has kind of a tie-dye look with watercolor. I'm using this Forget-Me-Not Flowers die set that coordinates with the Friends of Life set by Simon Says Stamp. You could use this technique with pretty much any flower stamp that has a coordinating die. I'm using both the small and the large dies, and I'm running them through my Big Shot multiple times on a piece of Strathmore watercolor paper that is 90 pounds, and it's 3 inches high by 5.5 inches wide. I'm using my Zig Clean Color Real Brush pens. These are watercolor markers and they have a brush tip, so it's almost like a paintbrush feel to the tip of this marker. And this is the color pink, just plain old pink, and I'm just going to color the edge of all of these flowers that have been cut out. And you can see I'm doing kind of a messy job here. I'm not too worried about it because I'm going to spray it with water and it's going to spread the color out. And also notice I'm not really going out very far with my color because you really don't need a lot. These pens are pretty potent in their color, and so you get a big impact with just a small amount of ink. As I was coloring, I got a little extra on the edge. I was thinking it was the flower edge right here, but it's actually the edge of the cardstock. So I'm going to attempt to remove this color before I continue on. I just grabbed a glass of water and a brush, and I'm just putting water directly onto the cardstock. And it's definitely fading it out, and that's really all I need because I'm going to spritz some water on this and the pink is going to go everywhere, so I just want to get that harsh line out. So just put some water on and then dab it with a tissue, and that will get the majority of the color off. So if you ever make a mistake with your watercolor, you can see that it's pretty easy to correct with just some blotting and some water. Okay, so the next step I'm going to do is take my yellow color and I'm going to color in between all of these flowers and make sure I cover pretty much all the areas. Now I'm not coloring that much, just kind of a little bit of color here and there. If I put too much yellow, I'm going to get more orange. I'm leaving plenty of space between the two colors so that there's space for them to mix, but then I'll also see plenty of yellow and plenty of solid pink. All right, now my color is down. I'm going to go ahead and spray this with water, and you can see that it immediately starts to react, and kind of the pressure of the water is moving it and making the colors blend with each other. But I am going to take a brush and I'm going to dab the color because because I put them so far apart, I have to sort of make them meet in a couple of different areas, but this is worthwhile doing to make sure that I get some yellow and the whole thing doesn't turn orange. So you can see I've got my brush here and I'm just sort of tapping color, and I'm really trying not to brush too much because if you brush then the colors will mix, and that's not what I want to do. I'm going to dry this with my heat tool, and I'm going to watch those areas that the colors are mixing and where it's turning a little bit more orange, and I'm going to dab my tissue in those areas to kind of absorb some of the water so that I don't get a lot of orange, because I'm really trying to stay just pink and pink around the edges of the flowers and then yellow in between. It's still a tiny bit damp, so I'm going to go ahead and put my acrylic block on here and let it sit for maybe like 3 minutes or so. I wanted this panel to pop up on my card, so I flipped it over and put a bunch of Stampin' Up! Dimensionals, and I cut several of the pieces to be smaller so they would fit in between the flowers. So now I'm just removing all the backing on all of these pieces, and then I'm going to position it a little bit higher than center on my card base so I have enough room at the bottom for a sentiment. I didn't want to leave those areas open where the die is hanging off the edge of the cardstock, so I'm going to take my ruler and just outside the edge of my panel I'm going to draw a line with my Stampin' Up! Black marker. And you'll see that I'm going to mask off this area so when I stamp the flowers they won't go past this black line. I'm going to start my stamping with the coordinating stamps, and I'm going to do the large ones first, and I'm just using some Memento Tuxedo black ink, only because it's a fast drying ink and I don't want to smudge anything. And there is a little groove in one of the petals that matches up with the die, so that's how I'm lining up these flowers. And the large one is quite a bit smaller than the die cut, but the small one is almost the same size as the die cut, so it was interesting how they were different. For my last one, it's actually going to go over that black line, so I put my Post-it there to mask it right on top of the line, and then I stamped it. And then I stamped the remaining flowers, which was the small flower stamp, using that Post-it as a mask where I needed it. I'm going to leave the petals of these flowers white, but I do want to tie some color into the background, so I'm going to use those same yellow and pink markers to color the insides of these flowers. I'm pulling my sentiment from the Mom and Dad Icon Set by Simon Says Stamp. There's a Happy Mother's Day in here. And so I just put it in my MISTI and stamped it with some Memento Tuxedo Black ink to match my flowers. I've got one more detail to add. I'm going to put some glossy accents on each of the flower centers. And that is the card for today. So pretty easy watercolor. I think it looks a little tie-dye-ish. It's really kind of cool and interesting. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed that, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.